Good morning, everybody, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. Gonna be a beautiful day. I can just smell it here in my house. It's gonna be a beautiful day. That's some good cough. That's some good coffee. All right. So, what do you guys think is gonna happen in the market today? I have some ideas, but I'm sure we're gonna hear from you guys. I can almost guarantee it. Someone will say something today in the chat. Let's see. Yeah, we're just gonna have to wait a few minutes till some people roll on in, and then we'll get started. Finally got my chart kind of set back up the way I'd like it. Bitcoin, just bounced off support yesterday. As we mentioned, it was coming into some support. Yeah, we're just gonna have to keep watching that thing go down for, maybe the next about a year, I think, give or take. So we'll just see what happens with that, I guess. All right, so let's get into some full screen stuff here. All right, so as far as it goes for the market's back over the 50 SMA. So now, excuse me, pretty sure it is. Let me double check. It is. So, pretty much, the market is going to work in one of two ways. It's either going to hold its buy move and continue higher, or it's not, and it's going to revert back to the 50 SMA. So, yeah, we could throw a view app on the low of today's pre-market session. It probably already would be this bounce here, right about the 10. Yeah, about right there. So that's already done, but then that makes that a potential pullback spot. Okay. Man, I keep getting this little tickle in my nose. Yeah, and then also, again, if the long fails, then we would just go back to the 50 SMA. So pretty much the two downside destinations right now would just arguably be here and here, or give or take. All right, so actually I should probably do that differently. We should do it maybe like that and like this. Needs to be your two downside destinations, and yeah, so pretty much. Yeah, so that's probably decent like that. Yeah, that's pretty much it. We do have a gap up. There's that. Yeah, so it again just depends on what the market really wants to do, but I would probably be leaning more on the side of a pulling the market back down into these levels as opposed to just breaking it out and running the markets up right away. So I would, I don't know. I just feel like the market's gonna want to pull to start this day, not go long. So anyways, that's probably what I would do. Just again, look for a market to pull back down to start the day and then assess if it really wants to continue to a long. So yeah, I guess the way we would first look at this maybe for today is the market can arguably roll down to here and maybe to here. And then we'll see if it stays long. I mean, obviously, if the market wanted to, it could just go like that. But again, that's just more unlikely. So we'll probably look at the market to maybe do something like we have drawn there on the screen. Yeah, so that's what I'd say the scenarios are. Just keep running through it. Yep, so down to about there or to here. And either one of these would have to continue the long, or else maybe we look down below there, something like that. So yeah, that's probably what we'll be looking for. And when I say, so we're not on the sell side of the market anymore. So for the one beautiful soul here, we're not on the sell side of the market anymore. Well, I don't say anymore just yet, but the market's now recovered the 50 SMA. So let's we'll bring up SPX, I guess. So as you can see, yesterday and maybe the past couple days, market was here. Market breaks down 50 SMA. Market gaps down. All right. After the market gaps down, it then does its downside 161 move. So yesterday or 2 days ago, right? So we get this big gap down. Then we get the gap and go. Gap and go goes 161 down. All right. Then the next day, which would be yesterday, we get a gap up. Market obviously gaps up, runs up, goes 361, blah, blah, blah. Then gets hit with a big sell move. We discussed that one a little bit. And then ultimately gets bought back up and does what? Goes all the way up to the 50 SMA, which is right there. Now this morning, pre-market, if we look at, go to the SPY, let me just double check. You know what it is. So this right here is the 50 SMA, this price point 50 SMA. All right, so pretty much what that means is that is the over under. And that maybe I should do it like this, something like that for the moment. So, and maybe I'll change that to a yellow arrow instead of green. I don't know. But then the text is yellow. Whatever. So the market has transitioned to positive as it relates to simple moving average calculations this morning. But the main issue that I see with that, or the long, is that A, there's a gap up. B, if we look at just the degree of the slope of the moving average from yesterday and into this morning, it's negatively sloped. So that plays a factor. In theory, the break and the move up this morning is in the pre-market session, not the regular trading hour session. When that happens, sometimes markets are more susceptible to pulling back for a live test. All that lingo just means, again, I'm still leaning towards pulling the markets down to back test the 50 SMA location prior to then taking the market long. Disclaimer, don't really care which way it goes if we pull it down to the 50 SMA first, or if the market just breaks out and goes into a long. I'd be happy either way. I already have some long UPRO, so if the market goes up, then great. If it goes down, dang it. But yeah, so that's just, that's it. I hope that's clear. I know I say a lot, but I hope for just like the 2.5, 3 of you guys that tune in every single morning, I guess I hope that the objective is that I repeat the same thing over and over and over, and the strategy and the approach really never changes. It's just the same thing over and over and over. So I'm hoping that just enough times on the stream over and over and over, you'll kind of learn all that lingo if you don't already know it yet. So Yeah, so what we're going to do today is we are going to be optimistic the market can go into a long, but we also feel it might be a little too soon. Thus, we may look to pull the markets back to start in the early session and then be hopeful that we find support above the 50 SMA. And then we continue to rally the stock market, putting on gains for people's 401ks, retirement accounts, long-term trading accounts, short-term trading accounts, and pretty much the world, right? So we're going to hope to be optimistic that we can help the markets go up and then provide profits for everyone. And if we can do that, it would have to be that the market maintains over the 50 SMA as mentioned by the yellow arrow. If we can maintain that, then there is a stronger degree of optimism that we can control markets in a manner that can keep them going up. All right. If we can't hold the 50 SMA, then that pretty much means that the market is just not in a long. And when I say we can't hold the 50 SMA, remember that the 50 SMA was where I'm circling here. It was up here. And then what happened? We broke it down. So the market goes into a sell move. Market gaps down. Market goes into a sell move. Whenever the markets are in selling operations or bearish states, everything is a lower low, lower high trade until the market seeks out a strong enough demand that can then reverse the market back to the 50 SMA, reclaim it, and then we start an uptrend motion. All right. In theory, if your thought patterns are just, one to one, then you would say we're over the 50 SMA, so the market is bullish. That would be, the simplest way to say it, but the market isn't always just straightforward, right? So what we have is we had a breakdown in the market a couple days ago, and we sold the market off. And then yesterday we bottomed it and essentially rallied it up, had another sell move, and then rallied it up again, so much so that we got back over the 50 SMA. Right? So the entire reason for being short the other week, because we broke down the 50 SMA, is no longer valid because now we're over the 50 SMA. So now the thought pattern goes from, well, we're in a bearish market or a bearish trade or a bearish environment, if you will, to now the market could be transitioning to a positive environment, all right? And if the market wants to break out the 50 SMA and it wants to go up and it wants to just keep going, then hopefully it just does that, right? And that's great, right? Because whatever, right? So we're over the 50 SMA, and if the market wants to go into a long and just keep going, then awesome. Hopefully it does that. But markets are not as likely to just break and just keep going straight up without confirmation or back tests. And those confirmation and back test levels, as we see it this morning, are basically where we are already mapped it off. Market fails to continue long, we expect markets to go to these points, give or take. Basically, which is if the market doesn't just break the 50 SMA, which it did, and just go, then these are our back test levels, all right? And then the market would have to maintain above this and stay up for the long operation or the transition of the 50 SMA to be valid, right? So, yeah. And then the flip side of that whole scenario is that this move right here, the 50 SMA, right, and the price action that's gone above it so far, right, the flip side of that is that sometimes the longs are not legit. Sometimes you can get false breaks and things like that. And if that were the case, then the price action of the market would end up doing something like this. It would roll down two, and it would roll down two, and instead of holding and then continuing, you'd end up getting a break down, right? Like that. And all of the price action above here just ends up being sort of a distribution false top, if you will. And sometimes it's really hard to know exactly which it will be. But you kind of always know where the price point of that structure changes at, and it's the 50 SMA. So that's why we always talk about that being the back test and the hold level, right? So Anyways, so I think we've hammered that one enough this morning. But remember, we'll say the exact same thing over and over and over pretty much any time I'm streaming, because it is the same strategy, repeating over and over and over. So that's that. As far as Bitcoin goes, Bitcoin, obviously, if you guys were on stream yesterday, then you would know that we pretty much said these are support areas for Bitcoin. The market's just going to bounce that. So the market has bounced that, and that's what we've done so far. Again, the market, we're still targeting on Bitcoin for right now to this box here on the upside. Now that we've established a decent leg on Bitcoin to the downside, that's created enough, what I would say, structure in the market to start validating the volume weighted average prices from the previous high. So therefore, this is going to be a level that Bitcoin does in fact go to at some point in the future. So when the market bottoms and gets enough support, it's going to rally there. Now, whether that be now or whether we put in another leg to the downside and want to do it later, it's going to happen. It doesn't really matter. So we just kind of know in the back of our mind that's where Bitcoin will go to when the market kind of loses the strength on this slide. However long that might be, we just know the market's going to go back there at some point. All right. Now, there's other levels on the downside we're also looking for Bitcoin to go to, right? So just because we're looking for it to go here as well doesn't mean we're not looking for it to continue going down. So there's another level we're actually looking for the market to go down to on Bitcoin as well. So like right now, you see how it's kind of holding support right here? That's all this volume weighted average price from this low, right? So if in the event we take that out, and this is the daily chart, so if we take out the daily volume weighted average price of pretty much this entire couple month consolidation structure on Bitcoin, then what we're going to do is we're going to look to take Bitcoin down to the weekly structure, and that's going to take us to, well, we kind of hit one of them. But just in general, the low side of that would be like down to there. So we'll just put a box there for the moment. So essentially, if Bitcoin kind of breaks this previous low and snaps out one more time, we're going to look to sell it to about there. And then we're going to look for another support in that area, which could then take us back to. Anyways, so that's kind of it. I would say those are the two main areas of focus right now for the Bitcoin markets, is the green box on the upside and the green box on the downside. And right now we're trying to control the price of Bitcoin in the immediate around the price of 87,989, call it 88,000, the daily volume weighted average price of this entire month structure of consolidation. So right now, if we kind of go to, say, like a 30-minute chart, you'll kind of see it in two ways now, right? So this is a current daily and, well, maybe I should just do this daily, weekly VWAP level, all right? Which I guess all of them would be current. So this is current untested daily down VWAP. And then this would be current untested. Did I spell that right? Yeah. Untested weekly up VWAP. So support over under, and then obviously this would be resistance over under. All right. So now you can kind of see how we're creating pretty much the playing environment for the Bitcoin market over the next, I don't know, doesn't really matter, day, couple days, whatever. That was a good stretch. So yeah, that's just, so, my brain always kind of thinks of it as like, it's like a football field, right? So those are the two end zones, and right now we're kind of in the midway point. So that being said, right now the daily, weekly VWAP level, that's how we're controlling the price action and bouncing Bitcoin down here. And then these are the 2 points, the current untested levels. That's where we're going to be taking Bitcoin next. It's not a matter. It's going to happen. Obviously, because the price can only go up or down. So obviously, if it goes one direction or the other and it keeps going that way, it eventually would hit that price. So, duh. But they are the key volume zones, and so they're highly magnetized areas. But anyways, so that being said, the door for the downside volume weighted average price is more active when obviously we take these previous lows. And remember, these previous lows were created off the current daily and view app. So it's not like the market just randomly bottomed here and we're looking at this price action going, well, yeah, if we go below that, then we go lower. Like, no, because this was our current sell target and support. And then obviously, if this holds support, we could rally up to here, right? If the move fails and then we come under, then we go here and then we go long again, right? So anyways, give it a couple of days or two and you'll see that all come to fruition, I guess. So there's that. So the narrative for today. Thank you, sir. I use it. 50 SMA and 10. Awesome. Yeah, hopefully it helps you. Hopefully you like it. But yeah, it's pretty much all we have on the screen right now is just the 50 SMA, 10 SMA. It's not the only thing we use, and there's plenty of other things we consider and look at and use. But as far as the one system that I've seen repeatedly never not work, it's the only system I've ever actually seen just work, always. There's nuances, and it's not perfect, but I would say it's by far the most consistent system I've ever seen anywhere of anything of just, and it really is just simple moving averages, and then I've layered on a bunch of other strategies on top of that. But yeah, no doubt it's the one thing that I've seen over now, I don't even know how many years I've been using it, but it literally never fails. So anyways, and when I say never fails, I mean, I guess everyone has a different interpretation. But yeah, it's pretty much never wrong. So now some might think that's kind of stupid to say, which, I mean, to a degree it kind of is, but because some people might just see it as price action goes up or price action goes down. So obviously it has to go above a simple moving average or below a simple moving average at any given point in time in the future. Because obviously if the markets are always moving and they're moving up or they're moving down, then of course the price would have to go above or below something or anything if it's on the screen, right? So, which is totally true. But if you look in, you kind of see how the price action develops and whatnot, you'll realize it is the point of control, essentially, right? But anyways, we won't get too deep into that. So, what time is it? 9:29. Market gonna be opening here in a second. Yeah. So I'm gonna shrink this down, and I'm actually gonna enlarge this screen real quick because we didn't go over the VIX, but yeah, anyways, you get the point. I'm actually going to flip through a couple, let me do that. I'm just going to flip through a couple penny stocks here real quick. There was one good one this morning, HCTI, that I was able to trade pretty good. Is there anything else moving? That one's moving. Been moving. Actually, that could be something. Yeah. So, yeah, anyways. Yeah, Jenny, also another question for you, since you're the only one chatting here with us, or a question for you is just make sure, well, not a question, more of a statement, I guess. Make sure you're using that 50 SMA on an open high-low close chart or a regular trading hours chart, not one with, not that you can't use the 50 SMA and extended hours data, but you want to use it specifically on a regular trading hours chart. That's where we get that calculation from. Proper calculation, I guess, if you will. So it looks like the stock SXTP is moving, but I'm not really trading that or considering that as a trader myself, because obviously it's way too far away from current breakout levels. So it's kind of more of a chase play that just has to keep working. This CABA stock, CABA, I might have missed that. Why is that all weird? There it is. No, well, that's the daily. No, I didn't miss that one. It's just already been moving. So, all right. So it looks like the market right now so far is just continuing up. Let's go double check SPX because remember there is a gap up, so we could be doing a gap and go to the 161 right now, and I would not be surprised. So let's see. Ready? Remember, guys, we have a gap up, so what do we do on gap up and gap down days? This doesn't always work. It works about 60% of the time right now, I'd say, maybe 65. So we'll take a fib, and we're going to measure from the open to the previous day's close, and the first target up is going to be the 161. So essentially, if the market, what I always say is if it plays nice, right? So sometimes the market can kind of be easy going, easy flowing, which when that's the case, I say the market is playing nice, right? So right now, you could say maybe the market's playing nice in the sense that we have a gap up. It's moving in the direction of the gap. And if the market plays nice, then we will most likely see the price of the market get as close as possible, if not a perfect tag, if you will, and even over that 161. But just in general, if the market plays nice today off this gap up on the S&P 500, then we'd expect the market's going to go to, or we should see pretty close to the price of 6,938.26, like minimum, right? Now, that's if it plays nice, right? So let me kind of zoom in here. So why is that? Oh, I hate that it does that. That's so annoying. I don't know why this TOS chart always stays over my web browser. That's another random thing I guess I'll have to learn one of these days, but whatever. I mean, I guess it's not the worst thing, but yeah, so if the market plays nice, we would see a 161 move, give or take there. Yeah. There's so much to it, but anyways, you guys already know too. Yeah, I mean, I'll just bring back up the SPY because we already kind of have everything mapped off there. I don't know why that's doing that, but I don't like it. I don't like that. Whatever. Figure it out later. Oh my gosh, I hate TradingView sometimes. It's so nice, but so terrible at times. All right, so our 30-minute 50 SMA pullback level is kind of updated some. So just an FYI, right? So I got to zoom out so we can get all this in the text. Remember, if the market fails to just straight go long, then these are the expected pullback targets, if you will. All right. So like right now, we wouldn't be looking for the market to go much higher than the 161 for right now off today's gap, right? So right now, SPX and how that correlates to SPY, we're again, we're not really looking for it to go much higher than 161. Now, also look at this chart. Let me delete everything real quick just so you guys can understand it too. You see how there's no back, see if you look at this chart, there's no test of the 50 SMA since when it broke out, right? All of that happened during the pre-market session, okay? Like if I flip this chart to SPY and, right, we go look at the regular trading hours chart, you will see that there is, from this move, it all happened pre-market and after hours. So the market's never tested the break of that 50 SMA in theory. So if the market ends up falling apart, right, that 50 SMA it's all the way right here. So This will be worst case for the long today, which would be a complete failed long and the market falls back to the 50 SMA. All right. The first thing we expect to happen for a back test is the market to come down to the 30-minute volume weighted average price, which would be where I just put that red line now, right? The volume weighted average price of the pre-market low. That's always kind of our first pullback destination many times for the day on the small stuff. So we expect the market to kind of do something like this. It's going to sell down towards that 30-minute VWAP. And then many times we'll see some high frequency trading. It might bounce the market here, but that's all very nuanced now. So anyways, you get the point. Have some fun with it. In the meantime, I'm going to flip through some penny stocks. Just see if anything's hitting any decent levels. PSQH, nah. I don't know why that's all jacked up, but that looks terrible. Actually. Is that the 4 hour? Let's see. No. Weird. Market's still holding up. That's good. Again, I'm not looking at the market, and actually that, speaking of, that's what I should have there, but I don't. Yeah, I haven't looked at the market internals this morning, but I would imagine they're probably doing okay for the moment because the market's still hanging up. So, ooh, this might be something. Maybe not, but we'll see. Yeah, so what was I about to say? I don't know. Yeah, market's up, market's doing great. I'm actually going to check out the Webull scanner, see if something is kind of creeping through that I don't quite see. Hey, let's go, market. Come on, baby. Keep going up. That's what we like to see. So we probably got the 161 target, I'd imagine now. So let's see. All right. So again, remember, measure from the open to the previous day's close. And we're looking for the 161 target up on today for the market. That would be ideal. So also too, so kind of bringing back up this, I'm not saying this is a great play, but if you look at AREB, right? So if we look at the 30-minute, right, regular trading hours chart, we can see that the market is breaking above the 30-minute 50 SMA. So it's arguably turning into a long uptrend today, right? So, but if you look at the pre-market looks pretty jank, right? So if you look at the pre-market session, we know that, look at where the uptrends. So remember I was just saying, right? So here's the 50 SMA. So anytime the market's getting over the 50 SMA, arguably the market's getting bullish there. I'm actually taking a little profit on this small trade. But again, you can see the breakout was a couple days ago, or a couple days ago last night, if you will. So if you look at AREB, this right here is a 30-minute 50 SMA, so I'll just mark this down, 30-minute 50 SMA, all right? So that's where the 30-minute 50 SMA is at. So we can see the market broke out and turns into an uptrend yesterday over the 50 SMA, all right? And then it does whatever you want to call this, and it goes up and double tops, and then sells all the way back down to where? The 50 SMA. And then it kind of just chops, right? And that's pretty much all that's going on. Now, I took a small trade on that just because when I look at this, I could see that, ooh, clear drawing set. Just from a regular trading hours chart perspective, that there was the potential, at least for a little bit of a long move there, over the 50 SMA, right? So market's coming up over, just basically means the market's into an uptrend. But like I said, we know that the main breakout for AREB happened this morning pre-market, like right here, right? So if you think about it, you have to understand that kind of like the trade scenario, right? So this is when the market was breaking out into an uptrend, right? Then the market topped out in the after hour session and sold all the way back down to the uptrend over under. Now we're kind of just doing like little bounce trades at that level to see if it could hold above. And if it can't, right, what's going to happen is this just goes right back to a downtrend, right? So right now AREB is just kind of trading at a key level and doing kind of bounce trades, but not like true uptrending breakout trades, because like we said, that trade already happened this morning pre-market, right? So there's that. And actually another good example of this happened today. There was another stock, hold on, was it PSQH? Let me see. Yeah, so if you look at PSQ8, was it PS, or no, it was, well, that one did too, but I think it was HCTI, actually, HCTI. So, yeah, if you look at HCTI, here's another kind of fun one from today. So I'll just redo this. Oh, actually, I'm just going to do this. So this one I'm going to highlight some trades just so you guys can kind of see the way my brain kind of operates sometimes through some of these. Again, this is all done in a smaller Roth IRA trading account, but that's not showing. Oh, maybe because I'm on a 5-minute. That's probably why. So we're going to take this down to a 1-minute. All right, so this was kind of a trade today on this stock, but the reason I'm showing this is mainly because a lot of times you hear me say on the stream, like, oh, I couldn't find anything, like there's just nothing that looked good and just not at the right time. So this is a perfect example of just me actually catching a setup in a trade that was actually good. And it kind of met the requirements, right? So I bought up like 500-600 shares here, give or take, and sold just every single pop on the way up. So essentially I had like 2 buys down here, and the rest was all selling on the way up. Heck, I was even selling I was trying to time perfectly the entire move up. So my last sells were just like 1 share here, 1 share there, 1 share there, literally trying to time the exact top, which I in fact did. So that was fun. So anyways, so the main purpose of this trade was basically just the fact that we went into an uptrend, like always. Remember, like I said, it's the same strategy over and over and over to a degree. Let's get to the 30-minute here. So if we go into the 30-minute chart, right? So regular trading hours, 30-minute chart. Where is the 50 SMA? Right here. At the price of 44 cents. So we're going to highlight 44 cents with that yellow horizontal line. Now let's go back to, there's also something else we gotta look at, the 4 hour, right? So it's always the 30-minute and the 4 hour that I look for. Basically, are we breaking above these two levels? Have we back tested them yet, etc.? So to get this done with quickly, so I don't waste everyone's time too much, we're going to go into a 1 minute chart here, right? So if you look at where the 50 SMA is at and you look at where the 4 hours at and you think, okay, so he's basically always looking long as the market starts to get through those and back test those in some fashion or another. I mean, you're pretty much going to see it's clear as day, right? So market pops up to the 30-minute resistance, comes down, goes to the 30-minute, breaks out, goes 4 hour, breaks out a little bit. They come down, they back test. What do we do here? We break back over the 30-minute, then we break back over the 4 hour right here. All right, so there's a lot of white lines in there, but I'm going to take the trade off so you guys can see this a little bit better now. Hold on one second. There you go. So real quick, let's just think about it. So the yellow lines, 30-minute, 4 hour, those are the uptrend starts. Those are the break points of the market where structure likes to change a lot of times. And then obviously you can back test them and so on and so forth. So let's think about this, right? So look at the volume of the market. So ready? Look at down here, there's no volume. Right, so this is all pretty much literally no volume, okay? And then right when the market gets over the 30-minute, and then right here when it breaks over the 4 hour, which are the 2 points that basically pique my interest to want to look long on anything because now we're starting an uptrend, right? The volume is starting to get up into the millions, right? So as the market breaks through the 2 trigger points for equities in the markets to go into an uptrend, volume spikes into the millions. All right. So we spike, right? Look at volume starts going into the millions on the spike. All right. But we don't yet have what? A back test. Not that it had to back test, but just in general, at the time of me looking through different plays and different stocks, I come across HCTI, where the market is actually going through the key levels and it's having a ton of volume. And then it just so happens that when I'm sitting down and looking at all this, it's also going into a back test, right? So if I throw on the trade again here, right, you can see I start buying into this low, right? It's this low that I start buying into as the market is pulling back and back testing the 4 hour level at 46 cents or so, right? So that's why I start buying in some shares, because why? That would be the breakout, right? So it broke out the 30-minute and the 4 hour on millions of volume, and then it's back testing the break level with millions of volume. That's where I'm adding long and then selling the entire move up, trying to perfectly time the top, which I did with a total of 8 shares. So that was fun. But anyway, so there is like a picture perfect, that is the picture perfect trade example that I could give to anyone. That is like textbook, should be in an academic book that people study. That's partially why I'm showing it to you, because I'm happy about that, proud of that trade, but it's legitimately, the things that I'm looking for each day, but it's just they just don't happen like that very often, because the market just is not easy, right? The market generally doesn't want you to participate in an easy way. So what happens most times is you don't catch the perfect breakout. You aren't going to catch it because they happen very quick. Sometimes they don't back test like this one. A lot of times they're going to happen at 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning when you're sleeping. Or there's going to be 37 different stocks that pop up for the day, and you're going to have to distinguish between which of those 37 stocks is actually a good setup and versus a shit one. And then all that takes your attention. So again, it's just one of those things where the key setups in the market, they do not exist for a very long time. They exist for a very, very, very slim period of time before things take place and happen. So anyways, there's that. So why we went on that long spiel was just to basically, that's the setup that we're always looking for. That's the setup pretty much that controls the big movement of breakouts on stocks. And it's just, they're just not easy to catch. So it was, you've seen me sit here for days on stream. Well, I haven't been here for too many days, but the few days that I've been here, you've heard me say, like, there's just not a whole lot. I'm just not catching a whole lot. Nothing's setting up perfectly, or just, things have already broken out, or they're too far away from their levels to participate, etc. Right? So here's a day where something was perfectly at the level that I was able to participate, and you can kind of see how I operated that move. All right, back to the market here. So SPY is, SPX SPY is shying the 161. So that's fine, obviously. So we've clearly done that. So as you guys can see, we've so far hit our first back test level as we defined, kind of up here and what have you. And now the next one down is the 50 SMA. So we pretty much just did that. So let's just double check here. Yeah, let's double check. Yeah, pretty much. So you can see, ready? It's like, let's zoom in here. All right. All right, so you guys can see, remember we talked about, like, it's either the market has up to 161, or the most likely event is that we then pull back and back test the 50 SMA today with a failed long. And that pullback to back test the 50 SMA is down at 687.15. Granted, the market only hit 687.61, which basically means it just hasn't hit the 50 SMA yet. So just in general, right, you can kind of see how, how that all makes sense, right? If we look at the pre-market session, we can go into a 1 minute chart, right? In the pre-market session, where's the 50 SMA? Ready? So, where's the 50? Right there. 50 SMA. All right. Where does the market have it? Look, you can even see this look at this little cute bull flag in there. Right there, there's a cute little bull flag. And then the market breaks out. We push the market up. It's failing the long a bit, and it drops all the way down. Not quite, but pretty much back to the 50 SMA. Right? So the market must maintain over the 50 SMA for the market to stay up. If we start to get below, then it turns to a bearish market. So you can see this is a break over the 50 and arguably just a pullback down to the 50. And we're trying to, as a market, determine if we're going to maintain above and keep the push up, or if we're going to then fail it and then start to pull the market down into a sell move. So far, all we're seeing right now on the market is simply a pullback, right? This is not a breakdown. It's not a sell off. It's simply a pullback on the market. All right. Oh, gosh. Oh. Hopefully that all makes sense. What's silver doing today? Silver at 85. Again, we have silver maybe up towards 100. Then we're probably looking at a top. Oh, dang it. Well, See, I was just looking at this SPHL just because I kind of saw it popping on the scanner a little bit. Is it halted? It kind of looks like it, actually. must be. So I'm bidding up 10. That doesn't make sense. 75787 make more sense. Anyway, so if you look at this, right? So this was a stock the other day. You can see I was looking at it. I was going to see if it was going to get a supernova breakout, but it just didn't. So you can see it broke straight out right into +3, +4, kind of where we expect silver to go, and then it mega top. All right, and then it sold all the way. So you can even see too. Look at the trend. Right, so it breaks out the 30-minute 50 SMA, goes up, hits +3, +4 standard deviation statistics, tops, sells all the way back down to the 50 SMA. Then it breaks, right, and then we consolidate, and then today, what's it do? It then breaks back up to the 50 SMA right here. Okay. So it looks like it's halted right now, but when it unhalts, what's going to basically happen is the markets are going to have to determine if they want to break the 50 or stay below. So you're basically coming right into a resistance level on SPHL here in a second. That's pretty much already there, and it's going to have to determine if it wants to break out. It would be crazy to see this. I don't want to say crazy, but it would be cool to see it break over the 50 SMA and actually turn into a long, just because that would be cooler. Because if not, then it just means it's pretty much done. It's about the top on this 30-minute. Let me double check something else. Oh, wrong one. Yeah. All right, so again, SPY working its way down to the 50 SMA. That's where it's going. As you guys know, this was all talked about on stream today before the market opened. You can mark my words. What did we say? We are leaning towards the markets pulling back down to the 50 SMA as opposed to just breaking up and going long right now, etc. Bitcoin not really doing too much other than I guess everything we would figure it probably would do. Oh boy. All right, so our 50 SMA backtest trade idea is now complete. I mean, do I use the 50 SMA on the weekly? Yeah, I look at the 50 SMA on the weekly. Do I use the 200 SMA on the weekly? I mean, not really, to be honest, because I just don't. You don't really see the 200 SMA on the weekly very often, so it's not like I really use it, but when the moment comes, the market's actually interacting with the 200 SMA on the weekly, I mean, I will know about it, if you will, but it's not something that on a day-to-day basis we're really using, just because it doesn't come into play like that very often. So, but yeah. Yeah, see. Yeah, I'll just leave it blue for the moment. Yeah, so if you look at the 200 SMA on the weekly chart is all the way down at $496.51. All right, so it's like price is all the way up at 667. All right, so I just don't know. So obviously you must be, looking at something far different than me, or definitely looking at something different. But yeah, so our 50 SMA back test, pullback, trade ideas complete for the day. So if some of you guys on stream were betting bearish or, whatever, congratulations. But that trade idea is complete. We essentially predicted that the largest globally traded ETF in the world was going to pull back to that price point today. So thumbs up. Cheers. Good job, everyone. That's good. Now what? Now we decide, is it going to hold support here or is it going to break down? Usually the answer isn't going to just come right away. It's usually going to play around here for a little bit, cause some confusion, whatever. But yeah, so we'll see. So this is now, right? So earlier this morning, what was it? Earlier this morning, the market was trading up here. And it had broke over the 50 SMA, but it had not yet back tested. Now we know when the market's over the 50 SMA, it can be turning into a bullish state. So the market would either have to just keep going up, and if it didn't, then it would do what? It would come down to back test the breakout. So now we've come down to back test the breakout. So now what? So now the market has two options. Remember, it can only go up or down. So now the two options are either it holds support and remains into an uptrend, or it doesn't, and we go back into a downtrend. Right? So we tried to break out this morning, we've pulled back, and we've back tested. Now it's either hold support or roll down and under, which will not generally just happen right away. It might take a second. All right, so look at SPHL is back open. So we're going to go to this 30-minute chart here real quick. Okay, this thing is freaking out. It's glitching. There we go. All right. So you can see right now, SPHL has broken out the 30-minute 50 SMA. 30-minute 50 SMA is priced at 828. So if you go back, look at a 1-minute chart, look at the 1-minute chart. Look at that. Look at the algorithm right there. You can see it's clear as day. Remember, it was halted, then the market broke up, but either way, it's just... there it is. So right now, SPHL is over the 50 SMA. So this thing's either going to break out and run, or it's going to eventually fall apart. And the first thing it's going to do is fall right back to the price of 832. Right? So this is literally what we're seeing right now in SPHL is the same exact setup we saw this morning with the market, right? So the market broke over the 50 SMA, either has to break out and keep going, or it falls apart and it goes back for its back test, right? And in this case, so this is the same setup. What you're seeing on SPHL, in theory, it's the same thing that we did with the market this morning. We broke the market over the 50 SMA, and it's got two options, either to go up or go down. And if it goes down, it goes to the back test. In this case, SPHL, it's 825. Yeah. So, anyways, that's that. Looks like it's about to get halted again, probably. Anyways, also I won't be able to stick around until 11. I gotta leave here. I'm actually helping my niece move. Nothing like moving in the middle of the winter after a snowstorm. So. Yeah, I'll probably be having to head out here in just a quick little bit, ski. Uh-huh. Maybe. I mean, yeah. So if you're looking at an individual stock, Oliver, and an individual stock is below its 200 simple moving average on a weekly scale, then yeah, I mean, obviously, as the market bounces back up from under or below the 200 simple moving average and comes back into it, then yeah, it's very likely that the price action will see some sort of resistance off of the 200 SMA weekly, because again, the 200 simple moving average is a very universal calculation for any stock, any equity, or whatnot, and computers read that. So when the market breaks below the 200 simple moving average, computers are reading that the 200 simple moving average breaks down. Therefore, when it comes back to back test, it would be used as resistance. But yeah, so that's very common. I don't personally use it myself, like the way you're describing, but I'm sure I'm sure it works, because it's same thing with the 50 SMA, right? So if you think about the 50 SMA, it's literally you just describe the same thing, right? So like we'll just say that this is the 200 moving average, but it's not. It's the 50. So we broke over, right? So this is the 200 moving average, right? Market broke over, market comes back to and hits, and there's a little bounce, right? So it's same thing. All moving averages are literally used all moving averages literally are used the exact same no matter what. They either define uptrend or downtrend, right? If you're above the 200 simple moving average, then you're uptrend the 200 simple moving average. If you're below, you're below, etc., right? And in order to go above, you have to go above. To go below, you got to go below. And then there's back tests. So it's all used the same way, all of them, if you ask me. So anyways, I got to run because, again, I got to go help my niece move, and I got a bunch of stuff in the back of my truck that I got to clean out from me moving my stuff. So, and it's freaking like, how cold is it outside? Let's see. It's just it's a nice 22 degrees outside with a bunch of wind blowing, so this is going to be fun. So yeah, anyways, I will catch you guys. What's tomorrow? Friday. Yep, we'll be back online tomorrow to, do the same thing we do every single day, I guess. So that being said, guys, ladies and gentlemen, everyone take care. Have a great day, and I guess we'll see you back tomorrow morning. Cheers.